Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Recap the other night's game. Obviously proud of our football team. The resiliency to play all four quarters and to hang in there and beat a good team on the road. We knew it was going to take a good special teams effort there to match them in that part of the kicking game, and I thought our guys did a really good job that way. Our special teams MVP was Bryson Hammer, that big punt return. I thought that was a really key part of the game and a key moment there to get some points before the half. Defensive MVP, I thought, Martez Pointer was excellent inside throughout the course of the football game. Really, really good there. And then offensively, Ryder Treadway, a young freshman receiver that had a couple huge third down catches, and then the touchdown on the very first drive of the third quarter, I thought kind of broke the game open and changed the course of everything. So lots of guys with good individual efforts, continue to play really, really good defense. Coaches continue to put a good plan together that side of the ball, and they're executing at a really high level. Got some timely, explosive plays in the running game the other night and running the football. And then, I thought Tucker had some really, really good moments as well. So, on to week 3 of November football here, trying to play meaningful games in the month of November is kind of every team's goal across the country. Sitting here right in front of our face with another tough challenge this weekend, in Ball State, well-coached team. It's got a dynamic quarterback, a very good pass rusher, and they stress you with a lot of different things in the kicking game as well. So we're going to have to be at our best. Looking forward to be back in our home stadium here. And with that being said, I'll take your questions.
Ball State's a team, obviously they had a disappointing loss last week, which, barring unforeseen circumstances, that they're, pretty much out of contention for the championship at least. But, when you have a team that's, hungry to pull the upset, I'll say, and, still fighting for a bowl game, just what is the mentality of just, taking this as any other game, but also, just quieting them early and, just not overlooking a team like this?
Well, I think number one, they're playing to be bowl eligible, right? This is their coaching staff's first year together with that program and with that team. So every week there's going to be a checklist of goals that they have to, or they want to get accomplished. And, it's a great opportunity, for both teams, right? This is a big football game. So, on their journey and ours, right? So, each team's, how you – this time of the season, playing for a conference championship is a big deal. That's part of it. That's what every team wants to do. But each individual locker room has different things right in front of them that they want to go get accomplished. I'd expect this team to be at their very best when they come into Glass Bowl Saturday.
6 sacks last game, 4 against NIU, and you're facing a Ball State team whose offensive line has dealt with a bit of injury, but also just one of the weaker statistically when it comes to sacks allowed. Just what is it about your defensive line's ability to get that pressure in the last couple of games, and just what do you hope to see from them?
Well, I think our defensive line would tell you that this is the key. You can cover, right? When you can cover at a high level, and you don't have to the pressure with blitz packages, each and every week that are brand new or change the course of the paths 5, 6, 7 times. Like some of the teams that we've played and faced that have to do that. It makes your job a lot easier because you could set things up in your rushes, and you can have counter moves, and you can do those kind of things. But I think what they've done is they've done a good job of understanding, what the challenges may be. This is a week where, it's not only just sacks. It's hurries, it's quarterback hits, it's tip passes. It's forcing the quarterback to become uncomfortable. You might not sack this guy at all this weekend, but you can't let him get out of the pocket, and can't let him go run around and make plays and unscripted things happen. Off-scripted plays, and that's how explosive plays come out. So, affecting the quarterback comes in multiple different forms. They've done a good job of doing their job. The coverage guys have done a good job doing their job behind them, and that's kind of married and meshed together to play good team defense. And, those statistics are a byproduct of that.
And lastly for me, just more of a reflection question, but you touched on it in your opening statement. But, just the running game that was ranked not even in the top 100 as a unit last year. Just especially with Chip Trayanum back in the rotation, just how has the running game really added a new dimension to this offense this year?
Well, I've been here a long time, and, that's always been a staple of our offense. If you can't run it, you can't do anything. There's only, you may be able to get yards, but you're not going to score points if you can't run the football. So, you got to be able to be balanced. You have to be able to keep teams guessing when it comes to where they fit their gaps, whether that's a run or a pass, by setting up some good play action passes. You got to put a plan around the quarterback to where he can be successful, and he really doesn't. You're playing with one arm behind your back if you can't run the ball. So there's not a quarterback in the country that can just drop back pass the entire game and beat you. So I think that the offensive line has done a good job of understanding where to go to and how to get there. In their counts, I think. The tight ends have done a good job on the edges of solidifying and holding the C gap in there when we have to. Then obviously the running backs, if we can get them to the safety or the unblocked corner, we like our chances, and that's going to require some good downfield perimeter blocking by the wideouts. So it's a willingness, it's a toughness, and it's a want to thing. And the games where we've been very successful on offense, we've seen great balance, and we've seen that in that effort in the run game. And to do what you want to do in November, playing football in Northwest Ohio or really anywhere in championship type games, you got to be able to do that, and you have to be able to run it.
You said multiple times, obviously, you guys don't really care where or when you guys play, but this is the final home game of the season. It being on a Saturday in November, just how does that kind of add to the excitement this week and getting ready for this game?
Yeah, I think a different schedule. This isn't. I don't know how many late November Saturday home games we've had in my time here, but this is a little different setup. But anytime we're in front of our home crowd, we thrive on that part of it, and I think that we've had great attendance, we've had great student representation, and hopefully that continues because I think our players really feed off of that, and and we're into our routine. We know what it's going to look like, and we play a little bit more freely here maybe than places where you're less comfortable, and that's just human nature.
Past weeks obviously don't dictate future success, but to see your team back-to-back weeks, obviously that's kind of been a bugaboo this season, but to see them come respond after a home win, respond on the road for the first time, just how did that kind of add to just kind of what you guys are looking to do this week?
Yeah, at the beginning of November, I kind of laid it out for them, told them like there was going to be 29 days here, like we're going to know what our fate of our team is going to be, and what that is and where we're at, and then we're under 15 of those days now. We've handled 2 weeks really, really well, day by day, hour by hour when it comes to the preparation of what that looks like, and I get it. Nobody wants to hear any of that because that's coach speak and everybody talks about that, but you really aren't anything if you don't have a great process. So hopefully we continue to have a great process of what a week looks like, and that the reproduction, that can reproduce itself on Saturday of what their work looks like during the week. And we got a lot of this is the seniors' last game in the Glass Bowl. I don't take that lightly. I think that's a big deal. You're always going to remember that one, whatever the outcome of the game is Saturday. They'll always remember that game. The next time they come back into that stadium to watch a football game, when they're done and graduated and on to the next thing, they're going to have those memories from that game. So you want to send them out the right way that way. You want a great fan representation, like I said, and you want to go play really, really well and put a great product on the field for those guys.
And then you mentioned Ryder at the beginning, and just kind of how would you assess just his growth as a true freshman to kind of step up and be that alternate option to junior?
Yeah, I think, kind of gets lost here a little bit that, we started the season, without Zamarian Lang and without J.D. Willoughby. Those two guys would have been starters or pushing to be starters. Obviously we know we're going to get out of junior. Trayvon Rudolph has stepped up in some key moments here. Then you go to the next core of guys of like where and when they get their moments, can they maximize their chances? And Ryder's done a great job of that. A few third down catches that I thought were big in the game the other night, and obviously, like I said, that touchdown catch was really a key play in the game. So when you throw him the ball, he catches it, and when he's supposed to block the corner, he blocks the corner. When he's supposed to crack the safety, he cracks the safety. He's reliable. He does what he's supposed to do. He's coachable, and he gives great effort, and he does that in the kicking game too. So ultimately, at the beginning of this thing, for every player, I see Avery Smith over there who gives great effort in the kicking game still, but he did as a freshman. I see Malachi Davis who makes all the protections and all the moves and calls on the punt team, and he did his early in his career. Sherm's back there. Like, these guys have done this in the kicking game before they ever did it on offense and defense. So he's finding his way and forging his path that way as well as playing good on offense.
The secondary's been great all season, but can you speak to the growth of it? Of course, it's been elite, but to hold a quarterback to 11 and 38 passing is just insane, even if he was expecting to be starting or not. So what have you seen growth-wise from the secondary?
Yeah, I think that each team presents different challenges, right? Each team's going to require a different piece of the pie as it pertains to the plan, right? Like, you put all this stuff in on defense, and there's this big package of things, and then each week this particular piece of that pie is going to be used. So whether that's playing cover 2, whether that's playing man, whether that's playing quarters or cover 3 or whatever, they've done a good job communicating, and you don't see explosive plays getting thrown over our head and guys running free with nobody around them. I mean, sometimes one-on-one plays happen. That happens. That's football. That's high school football. That's college football. That's NFL football. So I just think the communication is really good. I think they're very mature. Haven't taken a bunch of them, but I think you can take a punch and they can rebound and they can be resilient, play the next play. Anybody that's ever been a good defensive back's got to have a short memory because it happens fast. I mean, you give up a first down, you can't put your head in your you got to come back because they're probably going to try you on the next play. So I think those guys have done a good job with that. It's led to really competitive practice with the receivers that we have here, and they kind of iron sharpens iron. They continue to improve and get better, as you mentioned.
And in your offense, the trend has been a QB in his second year starting usually takes that jump. So how have you seen Tucker take that and really open up a lot of things for your offense?
Well, here's two statistics that I think get very skewed: sacks and interceptions. I think those things can be skewed a lot of different ways. And to me, sacks is a quarterback statistic. It's not an offensive line statistic. Sometimes interceptions are not a quarterback statistic, right? So can you, on time, rhythmically get the ball out of your hands to the right people at the right time? If you can do that as a quarterback, sometimes those sack numbers are real, real low. And if you can't, sometimes those sack numbers are really, really high. And ultimately, in both scenarios, the offensive line takes the brunt of that criticism or that praise either way. So the quarterback going into the second year should be able to help protect the offensive line as much as they protect him. And then ultimately, he should be able to distribute the ball to the right people at the right time. And if he can do that at a high level, you're going to see really high passing numbers. You're going to see a good completion percentage, which ultimately is going to lead to really good efficiency. And I think those are, how do you get to those points prior to the ball being snapped? Really good, authentic communication with the guys up front, handling the call from the coaches and then, getting that to your guys. So he's been really good at that. And, we're going to need him to continue to do that down the stretch here.